Morten.
So yeah, my name is Morten. I'm from the Danish rail authorities. I'm BIM project manager, and actually it's Christian that's the star here today, because I just told him what I needed and he basically fixed it for me. So that's thank you, Christian. But yeah, we are as an infrastructure organization, we're not as fortunate as a lot of you other guys that are complete BIM models. We are much more reliant on 2D stuff and GIS data and all that stuff. So we're not that fortunate. But a short story about what BaneDanmark is we operate and manage and construct all the rails and bridges and so on related to rails in Denmark. We are not responsible for the time schedule of the trains, but so it's you don't. We have around 3,000 employees in Denmark, and one of the countries, one of Denmark's largest builders. And we use around 1 billion euros each year, so it's pretty big. And we only do all this with 21 employees in the BIM and digital innovation, which is the section I'm a part of. So the assignment, I told Christian, is that we should retrieve unstructured data from sources and calculate an LCA analysis based on that. And as we saw today, a lot of you have fully BIM models, which is very easy to quantify and get structured data of. But if you just, for example, have a simple text file or an XML file, you just get some data and some materials and so on. It's not that easy anymore. So I know there's been a lot of nice presentations today, but I think we need to come back to the basics and say what is the foundation we need to build all this upon. So we have these unstructured data, and we need to use whatever file format we have been used on the projects. So that can be XML, and that can be Excel, and of course BIM and CAD files and all kinds of stuff. So it all needs to be collected somewhere, and I use the term enrich, but maybe that's not accurate, but at least structured. And then these quantities should be linked to an internal code we use that's correlate with EPDs and also some costs and so on. So we are very siloed, data siloed and information siloed, and I kind of want to keep people in those silos and kind of poach the information from those silos and collect it in Speckle, and then try to work with that inside Speckle, because I don't want to mess with people's work life. So that's why we took that approach. So why would we use Speckle? Well, as a public asset owner, we are fully in for open formats. So we would very much encourage to keep using open formats. And that's pretty much Speckle. That's a no-brainer for that one. And also the open source thought is both that we have full control over our data. So I'm very pleased to hear that you're compliant with that data security stuff. That's very, very nice to hear. And we also need to be aware of what happens to our data, so we don't have any black box issues. So we need to be in full control of the process. And of course, we need to be software neutral. We can't, as a public asset owner, we can't push anyone to use a specific software. So it's quite restricted. So the pitch, what I told my management that I would like to do is we create this proof of concept. We extract the quantities from the file and transfer them to InfraLCA, which is our EPD collective EPD format, and we should do this on a couple of test files. And these are XML files, as I told you about, and we're using CCI classification, if anyone knows about that one. We also use Speckle, as I told, and we use a format called EPDX, which is a digitized way of looking at EPD. So that was what I gave Christian to work with, basically, and what I've been told by management that they should expect. So, and yeah, that's a pitch. There you go, Christian.
Thank you. Yes, so before I start talking about the project we did together, I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Christian, and I build software as I do with Morten. I also lead software teams if it's a bigger project. And then I teach people to code, as I will do tomorrow in the workshop. And the idea is to help AC companies to thrive with digitalization and sustainability, which I find is often something that goes hand in hand. But if we go back to the project, so Morten reached out to me with this the project brief that he just presented, and basically the idea was to build a Speckle app and to enrich it with these classification codes. And he wanted to make this prototype, and basically that one of the reasons why Speckle was chosen is that BaneDanmark works with very different, like a lot of different data sources that comes in to them. But when we started to scope the prototype or scope the work, we came to agree on that we wanted to work with this Dandas XML file, which is like a file that contains wells and drainage systems and pipes. And Morten wanted that we use that as our testing file system. So we had to create this custom connector to be able to upload the Dandas file to Speckle. And we also quite quickly agreed on that it should be all done in the browser. So there will be no server running in the background besides the Speckle server. That help us to have a simplified tech stack, but also we will have no problems with the BaneDanmark's IT department because of compliance and security reasons. Yes, and then Morten already came with the idea of what we should do, and he had thought about a workflow, which is always nice to work with clients like that who knows what they want. So basically the process is that we have these 3D objects from the XML uploaded to Speckle, and they're typically quite low quality. There's maybe some attributes missing, it's at least not structured properly. And then Morten and his team in BaneDanmark, they are supposed to then manually enrich the objects by adding the classification, in this case the CCI system. And then we can map those CCI codes to different EPDs, so we can get a CO2 footprint out. But we can also map it to something called BaneByg, which is an internal classification system they use in BaneDanmark to, for example, make tender lists and other things. And then the idea is when that is done, then we can send the Speckle objects out in the world, and they can flow to different teams and processes within BaneDanmark. For example, there are some teams working with FME. We have these CO2 LCA calculations and tender lists and so on. So I basically started building this app, and I think if it works, I wanted to show you the app. So we have some live demo. So the app looks like this when you log in. There's like a nice little project overview up here in the corner. You can load your XML file, which is basically our custom connector. If you go back and we maybe look at this project, so this is one of the Dandas projects. It will up here load the XML, the XML objects, and down here you are presented with a table with all the different objects, and then the idea is that you basically start, this is the CGI codes, you start to kind of match them, map them. You can either do it manually, or we have some automatic mapping, and that will select a EPD for you, and then in the end, when you have done all your work, you can save it. And up here we have the viewer, it's loaded, and as you can see, we have some challenges with the data, is that these wells are very far between each other, and they are quite small relative to the size, so that gives a lot of blank canvas. But they are all there, and which is quite nice to have a visual check of what you're doing right here, down here. And finally, as Morten mentioned, this InfoLSA, which is like a collection of EPDs that the Danish road agency collected to be used in infrastructure projects in Denmark, that we parsed them all and put them up in the app as well, so you can link them to your objects. Yes, so that was the app. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, and I just wanted to say a few words about some of the challenges that we faced, or I faced, during building the app. So when I started, especially doing the custom connector, the Speckle Object Center was not around, so I had to use the GraphQL API directly, which was the API is very nicely documented, but there were some things around, especially organizing the Speckle objects, that gave a bit of troubles. But luckily there were some nice people on the forum who helped me out to fix it, so I could get some objects up in Speckle. Then later on I moved to this object center, which kind of solved many of the things. And then, as I showed you just before, with the viewer, then these Dandas objects, these wells and drain and pipes, they're quite small relative to how far they are in between each other. So it gives like quite awful graphics, which is a bit annoying. But the whole thing is kind of built with some kind of philosophy that Morten and I share, that you shouldn't put all your information inside the BIM model, but you should choose what the format is good for. And in this case, we add external links or URLs to the objects and points to EPDs. And that way we can keep the connection without storing a whole bunch of information inside the Speckle objects. And the Speckle types are a very convenient way to actually getting that information out again, because you can query the specific custom types. And that way, with the EPDs and the LSA, we can avoid a lot of data duplication, not having the same EPD inside the model many times, and then we can avoid overloading, which sometimes can be very big models, but we can avoid overloading the model with additional data. And we want to scale it, or like work more on it and have more. Now we worked on the Dandas XML, and we want to also integrate the other model types from different softwares. Also different disciplines within BaneDanmark can upload their things. And we want to have a full LCA model and calculation running. More links to more different type of data, not only the EPDs, and then of course better integration with the the existing workflows and systems that they have in BaneDanmark. Yes, that was all we had for you.
Thank you both. Thank you for the amazing presentation. Do we have any questions in the room? Don't be shy. This is in person for a reason. No? There you go. There's always one.
Thanks, Christian. As you know, I'm a JavaScript guy as well. We have this workshop tomorrow, so I just wanted you to elaborate a little bit more about, developing this connector web first and how that's different from the rest of the stack, which is Python and C# based.
Yeah. There was, there's a little bit of tricks involved, especially in the authentication, how you do it, right? So you have to obviously log in and do this, so you have to set that up. But then otherwise it's actually, in my opinion, quite straightforward to make the API calls and send the objects. There's some tricks around organizing the Speckle objects that you actually want to push to Speckle. It really got a lot easier also with the object sender. Then you can pull in types from that package, and that helps you making a nice flow in your code. Yeah.
All right, one more. Ooh, Matteo.
Just a quick question for Morten. If you're planning to use this for historical projects, like a big database and catalog of all the railways, or if it's a system for new projects that you're still planning?
Well, yeah, as I said, it's a proof of concept, so it's not definitely that we're going to use Speckle in BaneDanmark yet, but as we don't make that many new rails in Denmark, we mostly renovating the old one. Then we have this continuous loop of drawings and data in general. So when we are this whole big BIM loop, that we know that when we are done renovating, or we're done using the objects, then we should renovate them, and we have this continuous loop of data. That's kind of the long-sighted look at this. But right now I'm confident that if we can show this and how it works and what we can do with classified and structured data, then it would be easier to make that loop in the BIM, what's called the BIM maturity index. So we kind of get over that 3D stuff and can start to use the exciting stuff of 4D, 5D, and 6D, and so on. So that's kind of the main focus for me here, is that you need to objectify whatever object you have, so it's not just a line or a dot or something. You need some kind of container to store the data in, and that's the object. That's a CCI code for me, the classification. So you don't need the graphical stuff actually. You just need the materials and the size of it and the location of it, XYZ coordinates and so on. Then the rest is just extra on the. So it's the data that's an interesting point for me. Yeah.
Thanks again. Last round of applause.
Okay.